We'll see. I turned everything off on this phone. So we'll see. Last attempt. And if this doesn't work, because I turned everything off on the phone now. Everything's off on the phone. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, it's all off. And if this don't work, I'm going to watch television, man. I'll just take a break and watch television. As we said before we get to this, download on your Pilot app your offers, get your free Dr. Pepper and your free pizza. You only got 4 days left to get it. It's free. You might as well take advantage of it. This tastes like swamp water. And, but you know, what the heck? We'll drink it. It's free. All right, so there's a lot of discussion going on out there about, you know, is it legal on what practices are done in the industry and so forth. Yes, it is. Doesn't matter, you know, there's rules in the FMCSA book. Yes, there are. There's certain rules, but let's face it. You hear all these things. It doesn't matter what carrier you're talking about. We're not going to talk about a specific carrier. This is how it works in all of them, and it is totally legal. But see, there's a lot of things about people saying, well, they're talking about rate sheets. It's really tariffs, okay? They call rate sheets, right? So they want to say, well, you know, I want to know what it paid from the origin. Doesn't matter what it paid from the origin. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. Because if you get a load that was picked up in New York and it went to Detroit, let's say, and then in Detroit you picked it up to take it somewhere, you're not going to get the whole pay from where it come from New York in the first place. So it doesn't matter. That makes absolutely no sense. It does not matter what that original pay was. You're not going to get a percentage of that original pay. You're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. So what's the big deal about it? Who cares what it paid originally in the beginning? Because it does absolutely nothing for you if you pick up a relay and stuff. And then I heard on a video that, you know, call-in shows and all this stuff going on YouTube that someone had quit because they went to book a load and it had X amount of dollars on it. When they booked it, the price had changed. There's a reason why it changed, and this is why it changes. Okay? If you have company A and they get the load, and let's say it goes from New York to LA, right? New York to LA. So what happens is, let's say it gets to Indianapolis, and you're picking it up from Indianapolis, going to LA. You're not going to get the full rate to begin with, and the full rate might have been on the load when they went to put it on the board. But see, the way things work in the computer world is when they went to put it on the board, it actually had a little, you actually seen it. They didn't have time to do the adjustment from their truck, taking it from point A to point B. That's why when individuals click on it and the rate had changed, because this happened to me a couple times, and it was explained, you're picking up a relay. They didn't have time when they done this. You clicked on it too fast to, you know, take the money from point A to B. That's how come the rate changes. That's what happened. So, and then people get mad about it. Well, it wasn't the real rate, so why get mad about it? Just don't take the load if you don't like the rate that shows up there. Now, yes, you can ask. Yes, we're not discussing any particular company. This works with all of them. All carriers that are in the game and they have brokerage authority, they're going to have two divisions. They're going to have a carrier division and they're going to have a logistics division. And I'm sorry to tell everybody out there, this is how it actually works. Okay, this is how it actually works. The logistics company is a separate entity. They can be under the same umbrella, but it's a different company. The carrier is also a different company. Now, everybody's talking about, hey man, you know, that rate sheet on that load, I should be able to see it from origin. Well, you will see it from origin if you pick it up at the origin. But it doesn't matter if you see it from this one. You're getting paid. Your contract is with the carrier, not with the logistics side of the companies. Okay? So, the logistics business, they'll take a percentage. 10%, 40%, 50%, whatever they want to take. There's no rule that it's 20%, 15%, 20%. The average is about 20%. Okay? That's the average. So, if the load pays $1,000 and they take the 20%, the $200, the carrier has it for $800. And for this $200 that they took, that covers their employees, the electricity, all that stuff on the logistics side, and all the phone calls and everything that they're doing. Now the carrier gets it. This is where your contract is. It doesn't matter what these guys got it for. You're not going to get a percentage of that because you don't have a legal right to it. You don't have a contract with this part of it, so you're not going to get it. And if you did, don't you think the big conglomerates out there like an OOIDA and all that would have already done the lawsuit, because they sue about everybody, right, in the trucking industry. So they would already taken care of that part, right? They done took care of that part. So the carrier, okay, that's who you got the contract with, and whether it's 70%, 65%, right, and so forth. Big Rich, why are you deleting that, Big Rich? Big Rich, why did you put a comment up there, Big Rich? Why did you put Rachel in a timeout? Well, that's my granddaughter. So, you lost your privilege, Big Rich. You're on timeout for a week. There you go. You see, I got the real hammer. But isn't that great? Hey, even Kevin loves it, right? Even Kevin loves it. But watch this. Dan, you're now in timeout. You can't be saying stuff like that, my friend. There's young children that watch this show, right? So, Rachel, don't worry. Grandpa take care of all these guys. You know what I'm saying? I'll put the hammer on them. Right? I'll put the hammer on them. Right now, Big Rich, she's probably crying. See? You got her crying, man. You got her crying. Right? So, the real contract is with this carrier. Right? So, it doesn't matter. Yes. Legality? Yes. You could go back and say, okay, what was the original rate? It makes no difference. You're not going to get none of that. Legally, you're not going to get none of that. You have no part of getting none of that, because with all big companies, doesn't matter who they are, right? If I was to grow to be a big company, or anybody else has their authority, Sharon, TC, Motorsports, everybody has their own authority. G-Daddy, all them guys, if they became a big carrier, they also would split and have two companies. They'd get their brokerage authority, and this would be a totally different entity than the carrier part. So it doesn't matter. And that's just like I said before. When on certain companies, if they put a load on the board, let's say that paid $3,000, and you click on it and it changed, the rate changed, there's a reason for that, because you're probably picking up a relay, and I can almost guarantee the person that I heard on the other channel quit, it was on the Truckers Coaches channel. I listened to the live feed or the replay. They said they quit because the rate changed. Well, he's probably picking up a preload, right? He's picking up a relay. Here's how the relays work, right? They get the money from point A. The trailer goes to point B. It's got to go to C, over here to C. Well, they go here, they put it on the board, but they forgot, they didn't have time to take the money out, right? They didn't have time to take the money out. So then a guy clicks on it, because the way the system works is they got to put it on the board, do their thing, take it off, but they forgot to put the hold on it so they could fix the money part from here to here. So when they click on it, they're not going to give them the full price. They change it. That's your opportunity to say, well, no, I'm not going to do it then, and you take the load back, right? You give the load back. You don't get mad about it. You just give the load back. I've done it a couple times. It's happened a couple times, right? And you got to understand, that's just the way that system works. They could fix it, yes, like, you know, take the stuff off before it goes on there, but that's not how their system works. So it doesn't really matter what it is at point A. I mean, you can get the rate sheet. It's really a tariff. You can look it up. Every company has to post their tariffs. You can look it up. So you know what they're charging on their tariffs for detention time, for layovers and all that. It's all in a tariff. Now, you can find out what it originally pays, but it doesn't do you no good, because if your percentage is with the carrier and not the logistics company, it really doesn't make a bit of difference. Now we could talk ethics, right? We could talk ethics. Do they got to take that much? Don't know. Don't know their cost. How many employees do they have over here? How many buildings do they have for those employees? They're spread all over the country. It's a lot of money. This is a separate business. So they take a percentage before they broker it to the carrier. See, this is the brokerage. This carrier, whether it's a Schneider, Swift, Prime, you know, Jarhead Transportation, Like Trucking, you know, any of those, the carriers. So they get from logistics, right? Now, right? Now check this out. If that's the case, every load I'd call on, I'd say, hey, you send me the original. I want to see the original, the exact price of what this load is paying. How many brokers are going to send that to you? Zero. None. Nada. Zip. None of them's going to show you the original, what it's paying. You're going to negotiate the rate you want. If that load's paying $5,000, you negotiate $2,500. Well, that logistics department just made $2,500 on you. Did they not? Just saying. So, when the logistics department, right? Doesn't matter who this is. This could be Prime. When Prime Logistics puts it over to Prime, those contractors get a percentage of that. When Prime sends it to me, I get whatever percentage because I negotiate the rate, right? Hey, Sharon. Problem is, Schneider's contract states 65% of gross line haul from shippers, receivers, and other carriers. Brokers, not gross. Well, see, that's yes and no. Your contract's with Schneider National. It's not with Schneider Logistics. That's where the problem lies. You get 65% of the gross revenue that Schneider National gets. That's the way it reads. So if the load pays $3,000 over here, but Schneider National gets it for $2,000, that's the gross to Schneider National. That's your 65% of that number. That's how the contract reads. See, it's a really fine line, right? You know, you can talk ethics and all that. if there was a problem with it, OIDA would have had all kinds of lawsuits against all these companies that practice this model, right? See, that's the thing. You're 65%, it don't matter, 70%, 82%, wherever you're at. If your contract is with the carrier and they have a brokerage division, which is separate division, separate entity, separate company, doesn't matter what it pays over here. You're only going to get the gross. And that is the gross of the load, because that's how they got their load. And there's been lots of people that, have tried to come with a lawsuit and do that and do this. That it's not going to work. Because let's look at it. And we'll bring the name of the company that everybody's talking about. We'll just name a carrier right now. You guys are all talking about Schneider National the other day, right? Now, do you think if this was illegal that they would do that when they're a publicly traded company on the stock market now? Don't you think there's a whole ton load of lawyers that looked at the whole operation? Because they got to make that they're pretty much totally legit, or there you go. So why is everyone making Schneider out to be ripping owner-operators off? Well, that's the thing, Sharon. That's the thing. They don't know. I'm just going to come out and say it. They don't know the trucking business. They don't know business. Period. They don't know business. Just like you're an accounting department. You know there's a lot of people that don't know how to do the accounting part of trucking. Right? See? That's the thing. And the reason why they were saying on some of that stuff that the mega carrier was ripping a driver off was when they get the load, right? They said that the load was posted and they clicked on it and the rate had changed. I had that happen to me, Sharon, and it was explained to me when I was over at Schneider. I clicked on a load that was going from Wisconsin to Missouri, and it was a huge amount of money. So I clicked on it. But see, the way their system works is they put it on there, they got to take the money off and then put it back on, and I clicked on it. I just happened to see it at the right time, and I clicked on it, right? So when it came back across into my thing, I looked at it, and it was way lower than what I clicked on. And I'd saved the screenshot. And I called them in, and they said, well, that's the problem, see, because it was a relay. I clicked on a relay load. So they didn't have time to take off the initial part from point A to point B that their truck had moved that load. So I was going to get paid from B to C, right? And they said, well, that's what it pays. I said, well, I'm not hauling it. I'm not taking it for that kind of money. So I just gave the load. They just took the load back. Because, I got it before, I clicked on it before they had time to do the price adjustment. And when it came through, they didn't hold me to it because, that wasn't the, when I clicked on it, that wasn't the original agreement, but I understand how their system works. So it was no big deal. Is there something going on here? I ignore all those comments. I see all kinds of stuff about drama this, drama that. But, didn't Swift have the reputation too? I don't know about Swift. Sharon says, I couldn't explain anything to the guy who reached out about me about the price change, but he had no case because he never moved the load and never had the price change on me like that. That's true. You got to move the load to have any right to see any tariffs, right? You got to move the load to have any right to see those. The problem is, it really doesn't matter what it paid from the beginning, right? It really doesn't matter what it paid from the beginning because it depends on who your contract's with. And if that was the case, when Sharon goes out and calls a broker and he says, well, the load pays $500, and you know, she could say right away, well, no, I want to see the original rate. I want to see the original rate. I want to see it. They're never going to show that to you. That's why you just negotiate and you pull it for the rate you want to haul it for. And if they don't come to your rate, she says, well, I want 1,000, not 500. And they say, well, we'll pay 800. And if she still doesn't want the load, she don't take it. But if she takes it for 8, she's happy with it. And the load might have paid 2,000, but you'll never know. So, and yes, the only way you could go back and get money from one of these carriers that has the two departments separate is if your contract was with this part of the business and not this part of the business, because then you would get the percentage of the total of what it really pays. See, there's no part here that stops a brokerage from taking whatever they want. There's really no law that states how much they can take. There is a, how do you want to say it? There's a business percentage that they all normally go by between 15 and 25%. And they usually stay around the 20% mark. Most of them do. Are some more greedier than others? Sure. Sure they are. Are some less? Sure. They can take whatever you're willing to accept. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You call a broker and you negotiate the price. You don't know what the original price was. You never know what the original price was. You're not going to find that out. You know, you negotiated the rate, and that's what it is. So, for instance, when Gear Grabber calls up a broker, he negotiates the rate, and he knows he's going to get a certain percentage of that rate that he negotiates. And that's what he's going to get. So he knows what he's going to pull it for. That's just like if you are leased to a carrier and you get a percentage from the carrier, and the carrier shows you the net with your percentage, and if you click on the button, you're agreeing to haul it for that price. That's your rate. Now, if you're at the Big Blue Star, they show you the gross, and you got to figure the percentage out. And there's a whole lot of other things to figure out there too, right? If you're at the Big Blue Star, you got lots of math to do. You know, lots of math. Because when you look at fuel surcharges and all that, if you say, okay, you're going to get X amount, that includes everything, whatever the rate is, that's what you get. If you say, okay, you're going to get, you know, the rate and the fuel and all that, well, see, here's how Schneider breaks. We'll just use Schneider. Here's how they do it. Right? You guys, all you Schneider guys, here's how they do it, right? If you look at the rate, they're going to have fuel surcharge, $200, line haul, $800, for a total of $1,000. And your 65% comes over here. They just break it out. Now, if you look at certain rate cons, right, they will have the same thing. They will break, you know, if you negotiate $1,000 load, they might put the fuel surcharge in there, subtract it, and make it lower so it equals 1,000. That's how they're getting you to your money, right? They're going to finagle the numbers to get you to where you want to be. And that's how it works. And some don't put fuel or nothing on there at all. It's just a flat rate, right? You just say, okay, I'm going to haul it for this, and then flat rate it. Some will break it out to make it look good. Some will just send you a bill with just a flat rate, and there you go. So that's how it works. That's how it works. And believe me, after all of these years trucking has been in business, the trucking business, it's been done this way forever. And FMCSA has had their book out forever. And there's been lawsuits after lawsuits. But when it comes to what everybody was talking about, there are no lawsuits. Because you have lawyers, and lawyers, they read all the terminology and they figure out how to get around everything, correct? That's how it works, right? So, but it is good to keep yourself, knowledgeable. So if you don't know it, go read. Like Sharon says, she reads the FMCSA book, right? Brokers have no agreement to pay a percentage, but we do have a right to see the original amount paid on the brokered load per FMCSR. Yes, that's true, but no one's going to show it to you. No one's going to show it to you. You could say, I want to see it, but who wants to pay for a lawyer just to see it? It doesn't prove anything. You're going to get, let's say it was $5,000 and you pulled the load for $1,000. It makes absolutely no difference that it paid $5,000 because you negotiated and you said you'd do it for $1,000. The only way that's going to matter of what a load pays is if you're leased to a carrier and the carrier says, you know what, you're going to get 70% of the gross line haul, right? That's what they say. And they don't have a separate logistics department or nothing. They're one department, and they're called XYZ Company, and they go out and they get the load, and the load pays $5,000. You get $3,500 of it. But if they pay you $2,500 because they say it paid less than that, then you got legal. Then you can go after them and get your money because they're not two separate companies. Thus, everybody is yelling about SFI, right? In the thing the other day. Let's bring that up, right? Because see, Schneider is a really good company. They treat people fair. Schneider Finance is nothing but another finance company, a different way to finance a truck. No one twists your arm to sign the contract. Everything that they do is in the contract. The main problem, what happens, is this, folks. No one reads the contract. No one reads it. It's all in there. Just like if you want to give the truck back, it's in there. You can do it. There's a penalty. It's in there. It's all spelled out in there. Right? No one reads the contract. How many people go buy a new car and they slap it, right? You all been there. They slap the form down there and they say, okay, sign here, sign there. Oh, this stuff, this is the money here. Oh, that's for your plate and this and that. Just sign here. Just sign. And what do? You don't read it. You just let, yep, all they care about is the payment, right? Yep. You sign it, hand it to you, and you go on your merry way. There you go. That's the problem. No one reads the contracts. That's the problem with it. So, let's get off of talking about these mega carriers and everything because they've been around forever, right? Schneider's been around, what, 75 plus years? They wouldn't be around that long if they cheated all their drivers, right? They wouldn't be. They're an excellent company. They've always treated me good. Sharon worked there. She had no problem with it. They treated Gear Grabber good. They treat McTrucker good. There's a lot of people that, that's been there. And if you don't like it, then you move on, right? But there's nothing wrong with them. They have a really good system for owner-operators. And if you happen to need the assistance of a finance company, like a Schneider Finance or a Prime or a Swift or any of those other ones, then that's your deal with them, right? So if you get into that arena of leasing a truck through a trucking company's finance company, you ought to know that there's going to be a higher cost for that. Because let's face it, they're going to lease trucks to people that can't afford to go to the dealer and get a truck. Right? Is it bad? No. It's just another way to finance a truck. And if that's the only way you got to get you to where you need to be, then it works, right? It works. But you need to do your homework when you go into it. And that's a problem. People don't do their homework. Right? And here's your homework you got to learn. If you go into one of these deals, you got to know this. And this is why people go into them. They go into them because it's either no money down, right? There's no money down. Okay? They get a few weeks, no payment to get started. No credit report. No credit check. A lot of them have no credit check. They don't send to the credit bureaus, all that stuff. So all these are positives to certain individuals. So that's why they go this route, right? But here's the problem when you go this route. When you do that, and they don't report to the credit bureau, and you go to try to get a truck, after it's done, you have no history, right? And most of them won't accept pay statements showing that you're paying for this truck because it's taken out of your weekly settlements, and you have no record of being able to control your money because they take that before you get anything paid. That's how banks look at it. Okay, that's the real story. That's how they look at it. Financial institution looks at it like, well, you're there working for them. They controlled your money. They took that payment out before, so they don't know if you can really handle the money. Now, some individuals might get lucky and they accept those payments and they finance them a truck, right? But more than likely what happens is when you get down to it, they try to go get another truck. They can't, so they come right back here and they redo another one because they can't get the other part of it. They can't buy a used truck. They can't, no dealers will help them out, or they don't have the money to do it because they didn't save the money. They didn't work hard enough to get the extra money, which is hard because this is a high payment, right? Everybody knows it's high payment. So, stop the lease purchase bashing and against all these companies. They serve a purpose for individuals that are trying to want to try to do owner operator or get into that, and that's what it is. How do you tag people? Well, Sharon, haven't you ever played tag? You run as fast as you can, and as soon as you catch them, you tag them. That's tag, right? Just kidding. No, I could have a call in. Anyone want to call me? No, I'm not gonna answer the phone. I might start a professional call-in show. Wouldn't that be something? I might do a studio call-in show. What do you think? Sharon's it. You've been tagged. But who thinks I should do a call-in show? Like something on the this part of like a Jay Canal, right? Everybody sees Jay Canal's live call-in show. What if I produced one like that? What do you think? I got more than tagged Trucker Steve. How about a Super Chat Challenge show? There you go, a Super Chat Challenge. Sharon's laughing. Well, see, she remembers the old gains back in the day. She just forgot. So we thought we'd help her out. Actually, Actually, I'm down here in her neighborhood. This is her running area right down here. I believe it is. The southeast? Is that right? Anybody want to know where I'm at? I'm in southern Georgia. How is that? There, I'll let it out. I'm in southern Georgia. I'm on I-75 in southern Georgia. So I think I am in that running area. Yes, I remember the old Trucking Bozo AM dial. Yes, I do. Yes, Gear Grabber was on live on the phone, but see this tablet I have, this iPad mini? This is old. This is the very first generation. How many generations have they had since this one? That's why it wouldn't work. It was just too laggy. So until I can get me a different one, I'm stuck with the one phone. I am Fitzgerald, Georgia. Deliver in the morning. Anybody know where Fitzgerald, Georgia is? It's out in the middle of nowhere. Then tomorrow I'll deliver and I'll pick up a load in Tifton, Georgia. And I'll be going over to Alabama. And then I have nothing from there. Now, Gear Grabber's in Alabama. We picked up a load. I picked up a load up in Michigan. I got loaded, I was leaving, and he calls me up and says, hey man, I just got this load, and we had to sign up, you know, through a new broker, right? So we done the carrier packet, and so I'm picking up over here. I said, I just left there. So we picked up at the same place I did. Except mine came down to Georgia, his went to Alabama. But the place is great. I mean, you know, they loaded us within, you know, as soon as you got there, you're in and out of there within 30 minutes. I mean, you couldn't get no better than that. And the rates were really good, you know. Three plus a mile for dry van. So, and then the load I'm taking tomorrow over there is I think $4.50 a mile, something like that. So there you go. The South pays. You just gotta, you know, you gotta know how to run it. You just can't take big jumps, you know. Like if you come from the north down to the south, you can't go right back to the north. If you do, you're gonna go back for cheap money, right? And Birmingham on Friday. I'll probably be driving through Birmingham on Friday. Because I got to go, you know, I'm going to get something going back north. So, yeah. You can't take a load straight back up. You got to, like, do 2 hops, right? Yeah, Gear Grabber's in Moody. Sharon, he's in Moody. So he's real close to Birmingham. Yep. So here's something. I'm gonna do a video, about a 3 or 4 minute video on the funding company I use, because they have a special going from now until Christmas. So I'll do a video on that special. But I'll let you know. They are running a special between now and Christmas that if you sign up with them, tell them I sent you, talk to Scott Kennedy or Willie, that your first funding will be free, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 bills, and you get $100 also. So that's their Christmas special. So we we will have to do. We'll do a video on that because, you know, it's not too long for Christmas. Well, we got a couple weeks. Triangles, squares, and circles. So let's talk funding companies. Because I remember, we're going to tell a story here. We're going to tell a story. Okay, that'll work. See, just do a live video. Dan Isaac says, what is a funding company? It's a, factoring company. Dan, you know what a factoring company is? Right? When did you sign up, Josh? When did you sign up, Josh? I'll wait for Josh to respond. Last week. Did you tell him I sent you? Josh. Okay, so here's what I want you to do, Josh. All right? I want you to call up there. Tell him you need to talk to Willie. Okay? You writing this down? Tell him you need to talk to Willie. And tell him that I told you that, that you need to talk to him. And when you talk to him, say, Willie, I talked to Jeff. And he told me about the Christmas special that my first funding is free and I get the $100. Because it's not, they don't advertise a special. I was just going to put it on my channel for everybody. All right? So, there you go. And then let me know how that turns out. Send me an email. Can someone explain the benefit of a factoring company? All right, Big Money Trucker. Since we're talking about it, we will tell the benefit. Well, here's the benefit. Especially if you have 1, 2, or 3 trucks or more. The benefit of a factoring company is, one, okay, here we go. He says, I really feel they are a ripoff. Okay, how are they a ripoff? Because let me ask you a question. When you get to a certain level in a trucking business, we're going to take this down because this is important. When you get to a certain level in trucking business, there's a lot of money out there on the table. So if you're a single guy and you have 20 or 30,000 sitting around, laying around, and don't use credit cards to fill your truck up and run off credit cards, you have the actual cash, and you want to wait for the checks to come in, then you don't really want to use a factoring company. But if you're growing the company and you need running capital and you need a payroll department, see, that's the thing of a funding company. A factoring company, the way I use them is they are my payroll department. Because if you get too big and you have to have somebody to send out invoices, right? Send out invoices, keep track of the checks coming in, keep track of who doesn't pay you. You got to pay somebody to do that, right? So how many people, what would be the average rate for someone to pay, right? Right? Here's where you're going to find out something, Big Money Trucker. The percent they take make more sense for me to hold the invoice balance on my credit card and pay it off every month. The way to pay no interest. No, that's not true, Big Money, because some people, if they take 40 or 50 days or 60 days, the credit card starts charging interest. Most credit cards have a 25-day grace period. Some might have a 30, but you're not going to get that money. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. How big a credit card you got? Because a 2-truck operation, right here, in 30 days, right? we could have 40 to 50,000 outstanding in freight bills not collected. If they go to the 45th, right, to the 50th day, this number could be 50 to 70,000. Now, who wants $70,000 sitting out there, not collected yet? Not me. And if you have that many out there, that kind of money right there out there, guess what? You know how many loads that is? You know how many loads that is to keep track of? And you still have to run your trucking business? And you run it up and down the road? Unless you use computer software and everything else, you're going to forget about a lot of these. And you're going to have to backtrack and so forth. And if one or two of these don't pay, you lose a lot of money. Right? No, see, it's not quick money and helps cash flow. It's a payroll department. That's what it is. That's how you got to look at it. Because eventually, if you're more than a one-man show, you are not going to be able to do everything. You're not going to be able to do the whole payroll. You're not going to be able to invoice these people, run the truck, keep track of all the different trucks you got going on, plus run your own truck, and so forth, and keep track of who hasn't paid, who's paid. You're not going to be able to do that. So if you do have a payroll person, you're going to pay the payroll person, what, 30 grand a year, 25 grand a year? Right? Yes, it is a growth. It is a good growth tool because look, somebody put up there, if you're a payroll person, how much yearly salary would you get? Well, if the guy was working, if you had someone in there doing the invoice and everything at $10 an hour, and let's say they work 30 hours a week, that's 300. They're at $15,000, right? Let's say you get a part-time payroll person, $15,000. All right. If you use a funding company at 3%, okay, 3% funding company, and you do $300K, that's $9 grand. That's $6,000 less. You just spent $6,000 less than paying somebody. You saved $6 grand from having a payroll guy, and you got this. And you know what happens when you have a funding company? One, if it's non-recourse and that place goes out of business, you still got your money. If you have your own payroll person and that place goes up, you don't have your money. You don't get your money. All right, that load's just, so if that was a $3,000 load, that makes this $9 grand out of this 300. Now it's only $6 grand if you lost a $3,000 load, right? So, well, you have two types, Dan. You have a recourse and a non-recourse. Now, a recourse, you're going to get a lower percentage, 1.5%, somewhere in there on your money. Okay? Which means if they don't pay, let's say they pay you $2 grand for the load, and 3 months later they haven't got their money and the other place don't pay, they come back and take the money from you. Right? Or if the place goes out of business, they come back and take your money for you. It's recourse. That's why it's a smaller percentage. They have less on the line because they're going to come back and take the money back from you. Non-recourse is they don't come back and take the money if those circumstances happen, right? If the place goes bankrupt and they owe $3 grand, you got your money, the funding company, that's a loss from them, they write it off, right? You still got your money. But on non-recourse, if you got a rate kind of it was $3 grand and they paid $2,800, and they say, well, we paid $2,800 because he showed up late or there was damage or this, then they're going to come back and take $200 because that's only right. They will do that. So, but see, here's the thing about a factoring. If you factor, or a funding company, if you do all your business with the one company, follow this. And Sharon, you're an accountant, an accounting thing, so you'll know this, right? Here's the good thing about it. I go into the back office, part of the funding company, and they have all these nice tools, right? They have all these spreadsheets. So I can go in there and I look and I can see my yearly total, right? Let's say if the yearly total says $150,000. Well, I can do my taxes right away, can I not? I know exactly how much it is. Now, if you don't use a funding company to do your own, and you hauled for 50 brokers, you're going to get 50 1099s. And you got to wait for all 50 of them because you want to make sure that the number's right. Because if you file your taxes and you file lower than what was reported, guess what you get, my friends? You get the audit flag because you declared less income that was reported. Now, if you said 150 and the 1099s came to 160, IRS, they ain't gonna say nothing, right? I mean, if you said 160 and that 1099s put 150 and you're 10,000 over what was stated, they don't care about that. They're just gonna charge you the extra money, right? They don't care if you overstate, but if you understate, you're in trouble. So, tax-wise, you got to wait for all these 1099s to come in. But if you do it all through one company, you know what the total was because they're the ones funding your money, and they have the total in there. So at the end of the year, you know exactly how much money came into the company without waiting for all these 1099s to show up on your doorstep, right? That's one good advantage. Two, a lot of the funding companies will give you fuel cards, right? So then you get discounts at the different stuff. Yes, John Smith, that's right. You do not necessarily need to wait for the 1099s. No. But the problem is, if you don't use a funding company and you did all your loads and you missed a load, right? And you're right, if you're on paper or on a computer and you missed a load or you put the load in wrong and the numbers don't match, and you report the IRS 150, right? But they got 1099s that say 160, you're in trouble. They're going to audit you. If you report 150, but the 1099s they got say 145, they're not going to do nothing because, you know, you're stating you made more money that was on those 1099s, and they don't care about that because they're going to come and get more money from you. See, it's okay if you overstate, just don't understate. Now, let's see. I guess my gripe is a factor and invoice that pay the factoring company in 15 days at a 3% fee. Right. Well, you know, you have some brokers will pay next day, right? And if you have those, you just don't factor those, right? You just don't factor those. Another thing that, you know, a funding company or factoring company does is, and you can belong to it too, you belong to thefactorsnetwork.com, and you can put in the MC numbers of the brokers and check their credit rating, right? So you know what their credit rating is, know if they pay. It'll say denied or accept, and if it says denied, don't haul for those brokers because more than likely you're not going to get your money, right? And then there are a lot of quick pays, just like Husker Trucker says, you know, CHR pays 2 days at 2%, but they also charge $10 or $20 or whatever it is. I forget exactly what their number is to send you that money. There's fees for everything, right? Even the fast pays from like the Landstars and the Schneiders and the CR Englands, and everybody's got a fast pay. But see, the problem with that is you follow the same thing. If you're using fast pays, you still got all these different numbers coming from all the different brokers. And if you just use one company, it makes it a whole lot easier. And if you fund with one company, then you have the power later on when your portfolio is high is to get a lower rate when it comes time for renewal of your contract. You can get a lower rate, right? So you might get down to a rate to where it makes it really beneficial to do it. Because the more you factor through them, the better business client you are, and they want to keep good clients, so they'll give you a better rate. But if you use a funding company, use one that's only a 90-day funding company, which means every 90 days your contract will renew if you tell them you don't want to fund with them anymore. Don't go with the one that's a year, because that's a long time to be able to renegotiate, right? It's a long time. See, and like for me, Gear Grabber's on here, he'll tell you, this is how I operate. I'm going to show you how I operate. Anybody want to see how this operation works? See, I make it really easy. I'll disclose it right now on this channel. I use Thunder Funding, Big Money Trucker. And if you want to use them, call them up. They're out of Carlsbad, California. Talk to Scott Kennedy or Willie. Tell them I sent you. Between now and Christmas, if you sign up, you get $100 plus. You'll get your first funding free, whether you do 1, 2, or 3 loads. It's the very first one. All right. Just got my rate dropped down to 3%. I was at 4%. That's right, Don says. There you go. All right. Here you go, Gear Grabber. I'm going to tell them how it works at Like Trucking. This is how it works, Big Money. Gear Grabber delivered a load yesterday, right? Gear Grabber delivers a load on Tuesday. Right? He delivers this load. And it pays X amount of dollars. Today is Wednesday. And what he did on Tuesday is he took a picture of the front sheet, his bill of lading, and the rate con, and he sent it to Thunder Funding. Thunder Funding paid me here on Wednesday, and then I also paid Gear Grabber on Wednesday. So he gets paid the next day after delivery. That's how it works. So that's how it works at Like Trucking. And that's another reason why I use the funding company, because you get paid the next day. And there's a reason why I use Thunder Funding, is because they're a small outfit. You call them, and he knows because he's on here. You call them, they answer the phone, and everybody in there knows they can answer your question and help you out. Now, Gear Grabber sent in a bill. They couldn't read it. Gear Grabber put on the screen. How long did it take them when you sent that email to get back to you and say, hey, we need a clear copy of that bill? Because the huge funding companies ain't going to send it back this quick. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yesterday when you sent that bill in, how long did it take? How long did it take Gear Grabber for them to send you that email back that said that they couldn't read the bill you sent in? People want to know the percentage I pay. Well, you're not going to find out the percentage I pay unless you actually work for me. Right? Yeah, it took about 5 minutes. He sent that email off, and about 5 minutes later, he got an email back saying, you know, we need to resend in a clear shot of the bill. There you go. But that's how we work, right? So we pay every day after delivery as long as you send in the paperwork. Right? It's 24 hours later, boom, I send the money to his, I ACH it right to his bank account. Now, I give an option. If you want the money right now, I'll just give you an EFS check. Doesn't matter. You know, here's the money code. Take it to the bank. Let's see. I would think it'd be easier to just pay Gear Grabber once a week and then reduce your management time. Well, John Smith, I disagree. My management time is way better this way. You want me to tell you why? I'll give you everything I use, right? Here we go. Norman Beck, thank you for the super chat. All right, here's how I run this company. And I can do it all from the cab of this truck. And I can do probably 10 trucks before I'm going to have to start sourcing out and having someone help me. And there's a works in the evolution of that in the business plan. And people already know there's people in line of what's going to happen. So, I use Fogline software. That's what I use. Fleet Edition. Right? I use the Fleet Edition. Fogline software. So what I do is I put all my loads in there. I put Gear Grabber's loads in there that he's hauling. I have his percentage in there. Whatever fuel he buys off the fuel card, see, that's another thing with Thunder Funding, and you use a funding company for let me remember the name here. Let me go back. I know it's something trucker. He'll probably go in there and say something, right? But this is why. Big Money Trucker. That's what it was. Okay. So I use the Fleet Edition, right? And when I put my loads in, I put Gear Grabber's loads in, and I have the load numbers in there. So I go to the driver pay tab, I click on it. I got his percentage in there. I put the amount of the load pays. The percentage figures out exactly what he gets. I put it in there, right? Then what I do is when Gear Grabber fuels on the fuel card, I get a report of that, right? I check that every day. And when I see the fuel was bought, I subtract it right on his driver pay screen. So when it funds the next day, I know exactly what to shoot to his bank account. I hit paid, that's out of the way, I go to the next load, and so on and so on. And Sharon, you asked a question. Do you have any settlement deductions for Gear Grabber? Don't respond too personal. No, zero, none. The way I operate is you get a certain percentage and that covers everything. There's nothing else coming out of the, so you know exactly what you get. So for example, if you get 85, if it was 85% and it was $1,000 load, that'd be $850. There's nothing else coming out. Now if you fueled and put $200 in fuel in, then you'd get $650 because of the fuel. The only thing that comes out is whatever fuel you buy. Nothing else comes out of there. It's all baked in. It's simple and nice. And I did it for a reason that way. Right? I did it for a reason. I don't want to be like all these other companies that say, oh, I'm going to give you this high percentage. I'm going to give you this high percentage, no matter what it is. Let's say it's 90%. But then they say, oh, well, insurance this much a week, ELDs this much a week, and then they go on and on and on with a list of stuff, pre-pass this much, this much, this much. They go on down and down, right? That's how they do it. There you go. And I don't want to go into that because when you add all this stuff in, it just adds more and more work. Adds more and more work. And I probably shouldn't show this formula on here because, a lot of people copy. So, there you go. Sharon says, I'm signing 200 operators next month. I'm trying to figure out how to get them paid daily. If I have settlement deductions, they will use my fuel card. Well, Sharon, if you really want to know and talk, if you want to talk to me about it, send me an email, through Facebook. Send me an email with your number or whatever. I'll call you. We'll talk about it. And I'll tell you how I accomplish it and do this. And you could take whatever you want out of that, make your own thing, whatever works for you. but I'll go through all the numbers with you and tell you how I came up with what I came up with. So there you go. Big Money Truck says, work smart, not hard. That's right. I sat there, I went through all the numbers. Okay? I look at my competition. Okay? And I'll throw out the names. I looked at Schneider National's percentage and what all they did. I looked at Landstar's percentage with and without trailers and the numbers they do. I looked at Mercer, I looked at Traveloco, and so on and so on and so on. Right? I looked at all these people. I figured out all their percentages, and then I figured out all the extras that they had in there. Right? I figured all those out. And then I see what the real percentage is. Right? Because, like I tell people, you could get 90%, but that doesn't mean it's 90%. That 90% could be 57, really, or it could be 65, or it could be 82. Because what's not in the 90% that you gotta pay, then it's really not 90%. Because when you deduct all that from your money, and then you divide it, now you know what you really got. Right? So, my percentage I pay is lower than some of those, but the net, see, this is the important thing. Gear Grabber, you can pipe up if you want, but the net is what counts. And at the percentages I'm giving, the net comes out better than all those other ones that I mentioned. Because I put it all in spreadsheets. And I had them all in spreadsheets. And there you go. And Gear Grabber says, let me tell you, if I need something, let's say I need to sign on to a broker, I call Jeff and it's done in 5 minutes. Exactly. Or sometimes, Gear Grabber, sometimes he'll call me and he'll say, hey, a broker's going to be calling you because I booked this load. And I says, well, I've already did the carrier packet. Because, you know, it was one of those that uses RMIS. And I got an email, right? And it came through and I clicked on it and I've already filled it out, and him and the broker call me and I'll say, yeah, I just sent it. Oh, it's already done. Or, like you said, 5 minutes. That's it. Right? If I have to pull the truck over to a safe place and get it done, I get it done. Then I go back and do the load I'm on, right? That's how I operate. I don't say, well, I'll get to you, an hour from now or half hour from now. No, it's business, right? I pull over to the next safe spot. I get online, bang, 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 do what I got to do, and then I call or text and say, hey, it's done. Got any problem, just let me know. And then I get back on the road and I do some trucking. Right? That's how it works here. It's efficient and fast. So, the only thing I don't like is if I have to deal with inefficient brokers. Gear Grabber, how is fuel deducted if you're paid daily? It's deducted like this, Sharon. See, this is how it works. Okay, this is why I use Thunder Funding, and there's lots of reasons why I use them. And if anybody wants to use them, you know the deal. Just tell them I sent you. You'll get $100. You'll get, your first thing free if you do it before Christmas. But this is why. Okay, they're going to set you up with EFS, right? They have an EFS account. And they send you as many fuel cards as you want at Thunder Funding for your drivers, right? So, for instance, Gear Grabber goes, and yesterday he's going on a load from Michigan to Alabama. And he fueled. Let's say he got $300 of fuel in Michigan. Well, he delivered this load today. So he sent in the paperwork, Sharon, right? He sends in the paperwork. And I already know how much fuel he got because I have the report sitting right here on my phone. Well, the phone's right there. I'm talking to you on it. But I already know what he fueled, and it's in my Fogline software already. I already put it in. So tomorrow, when Thunder Funding deposits whatever money it is, let's just say, you know, the money, and let's say I owe him $1,000, right? So let's say they give me the $1,000, and I already know he bought $300 in fuel, so I'll just subtract that, and then I send him $700, and then in the software, I'll hit print, and I'll email him the settlement stub, which will have his line haul, it'll have the fuel, right, from the deduction, and then it'll have the net settlement due. And then I just email it to him. Boom. So, hey, so he gets an email of every single load that he delivers for tax purposes or whatever he wants to use it for. So if he delivers a load a day, every day he's going to get one of those with how much money is being ACH'd into his bank account. It's really fast. And there you go. Yeah, my factoring company provides cards also, but I have another fuel card that provides a better discount. Well, in that case, you know, you're going to have to, if you want to pay like that, you're going to have to keep track of them and ask them how much, you know, what the fuel was, right? But if you have an owner-operator that you know, fuels on his own with that card, then you don't have to worry about it because he's paying for their own fuel, right? If you're bringing on owner-operators, which that's probably who, you know, what you're bringing on, right? So the name of the software is FoglineSoftware.com. It is called Truckin' Pro. Truckin' Pro. They have an owner-operator edition. They have a fleet edition, and so forth. And if you use the code JL10, you'll get $10 off the software if you download it and buy it. Yeah, Sharon, if you want to call me and talk about it, you know, send me the number and we'll talk about it. Right? Mark Bell says, where do you take out Thunder's 3%? What do you talk about, Mark Bell? It's all baked in there, right? I baked all the numbers in there when I did the system I bake it all in, right? I'm not going to give out what percentage I get, but let's just say it's 3%. So I baked that in there. I know it costs 3% for whatever the load is. I got all that figured in. So basically, when I figure out the percentages, is I look at it and then I figure out, okay, if I paid 85%, I'd have to add 3, that's 88. So I'd make 12% off the driver, right? I might pay, you know, say if I was paying 85, I know I'm only making 12. I'm not making 15 because I'm factoring 3%. See, I already know the numbers. That's why when I came up with the percentage, I figured all that in, because you got to make enough to cover the liability, the cargo, and so forth. Because each truck you put on is a lot of money. It's not $1,000, it's not $2,000, it's up there. Depends on your insurance company. You know, it could be $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 per truck, right? So you gotta use the spreadsheets and the calculations, and you gotta make sure that. See, here's what I wanted to do. I didn't set out to make a fortune off of owner-operators. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of companies that make a fortune off of the sweat of other drivers, right? So what I set out to do is this. Simplify the system as simplest as you can get it. Make a little bit of money for the company, but let the driver or the owner-operator make as much as they can. to where they're profitable, they're making money, and they're happy. Because if you make them really happy and you don't take a whole lot, and you're set up to where if they didn't work, you could lose a little money because you're paying all this other stuff, right? You're not charging them weekly for it. So if they don't work, they take 3 weeks off, yes, you're going to lose a little money. Under this system, you will lose a little money. But most drivers aren't going to take 3 weeks off every single month, so you're not going to lose any money. But you're not going to get filthy rich like these other big companies are doing. You know, what it's going to do is you're going to have a nice small company that people don't want to leave because, one, they're making good money and it's simple. That's it. Simple. You know? I didn't hear your response. Getting trailer work done. So if I want to pay daily, my owner op has to use the factory company's card exclusively for fuel. Yes, that's what I would do, Sharon. That way you have a deal on it, so you know. Because if you use a separate fuel card, I mean, you're not giving them the money on that fuel card unless it's one that has a credit where. But if you're using a separate fuel card, that you should be able to go on that fuel card and see the statement every single day, right? Of fuel. Let's say it was NASTIC or something. You should be able to see every daily charge on there, right? On the account. I mean, can you? On the fuel card you have with the bigger discounts, if you fueled right now and checked 5 minutes later, would you see that? If you went on your account, would you see the money? Or the next morning? But, you know, we could talk about that on the phone, right? If you want to call, you know, you want to shoot me your number at my email, you know, we'll talk about it on the phone. And that, you know. Snorlord says he loves simplicity. What insurance do you use? I use an insurance company out of Michigan, but they write for all these different insurance companies, and you know, there's a whole different bunch of them. But let's see. Okay, you can see it immediately. All right, so yes, you could do it on that card too. It's really simple. And you know, we talk about, you know, I'll tell you exactly how I do all this stuff, and maybe it'll help you out. All right. John says you kind of have two options for tracking your factoring fee. You can do it on a net basis, meaning that what you receive, or the gross, and show the gross minus the factoring fee. Well, yeah, well, you're going to have to put the gross in there on your company when you're doing corporate taxes. You got to put the gross in there, and then your fees will come out as a deduction. You can't put the net on there because that's not what is reported from the 1099s from all the brokers. So you can't get caught in that catch-22. There's two different things going on when you're doing this with brokers and factoring companies and everything. So yes, factoring fee is a tax write-off because you're paying that fee. It's just like an ATM fee, right? It's just like an ATM fee. It's like an EFS check fee. Any of those fees, like if you have a fuel card and you swipe it at the fuel pump and they charge you $1.50 fee to swipe the card, that's all tax write-off. Everything there is a tax write-off. It's a fee. Just like, for people that don't know, right? Just like if you go out and somebody take care of that. Just like if you go out and you swipe your credit card for fuel, right? And you swipe your credit card for repairs, and you do not pay off the credit card at the end of the month, and you get charged $7 or $8. All right, Heath, you made it, buddy. I met you. We shook hands at the pilot. You're now a moderator. How do you like that, Heath? He's a good guy, man. Met him at the Pilot down there in Benton Harbor, man. All right. So, if you have a credit card and you don't pay it off at the end of the month and you used it for business and you just kept letting it rack up, and at the end of the year you add up that you paid $1,000 interest, that interest is deductible. Did you know that? That's a deduction. That's a legal deduction. You can deduct that interest from all the charges you made on that credit card at the end of the year, as long as it was for business. That is, because it's right on there. It says interest right on the form. And if you're running it off of Schedule C, it's going to be on the left-hand side about 1, 2 or 3 down. It'll say interest. What? Say that again, please. I don't know what you're talking about, Air. Can't be for food or clothes, but yes for crumb. No, it can. You can write off clothing as long as it's for work, right? It's got to be work clothing, work boots, things like that. You can write those off. Yes, you can write off work boots and stuff like that. The best thing to do is have a credit card for business and one for personal stuff, and have a separate business check. That's right. You got to have things separated, unless you're a sole proprietor, and then you really don't have to have it separated. I mean, you can run it off for just one, but then you got to be able to do the calculations to separate what was bought for business, what was bought for personal. It just makes it a little harder, but it'd be easier. You just had one, and that's all you used it for. That one card was just for all your business stuff, and all the other cards were for your personal. Then yeah, it makes it quite simple that way. Deer grabber? No, it's gear grabber, because he grinds gears, man. He needs an automatic, folks, okay? Let me tell you something. This guy needs an automatic, man. His driving test, right, was to the steakhouse. And man, I thought the transmission was going to fall out of that truck by the time we got there. Holy smokes. Man, I haven't heard so much racket. The last time I heard racket was listening to SoCal shift that truck he was in. Oh, sorry, SoCal. You just had to be brought into that. It's all fun and games, man, but you did grind the gears a lot. You were on a live feed, man. You could hear him. That truck was in pain. But he's not on here. He left. All right, man. So, what's up, Big Face Trucker? Anybody want to go see a good YouTuber? Big Face Trucker's got a good channel. And no, he doesn't pay me any money to say that. He doesn't have no money. Let me tell you why Big Face Trucker don't have no money. He's got a Schneider Finance truck. He's over at Traveloco. And he has grandkids. I'll say that real low because I don't want to let my grandkids hear what I'm saying. He has grandkids. Grandkids take all your money. Isn't that right, Big Face Trucker? Grandkids take all the money. Yeah, we want to know how your challenge is going, Big Face Trucker. Big Face Trucker's on a 24-day, 30K challenge. And we want to know. Give us an update. You know, let this be breaking news on my channel. You know, share the wealth here. How you doing on that? Are you don't tell your number. Are you a little below what you need to be at right now? Or are you a little above? Just say below or above, and we won't ask how much. I appreciate the super chat earlier. I appreciate that. Yes, low. I figured you'd be a little on the low side. That's going to be a hard challenge, especially the area you like to run. You're going to have to get into the snow, my friend, if you want to make that challenge. You know what I'm talking about. See, I came down here, right? Because one, the load paid really well, and I'll tell you what it was. It was on the board for $2,300, and it was on an app for $2,300, and I called on the DAT because I was on the DAT also, and they answered the phone. They told me that it was 2,100. And I says, no, I can do it for 28. Okay? Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I'm holding. They come back and said, oh, man, they went way up, man. They do it for 26. We'll send you the load. I said, no, you won't. It's 28. I can't help you. Bye. And I hung up the phone. I'm sitting at home. I was just going to take the day off, you know. And it was just a few minutes later, the phone rings. And I seen the number. I answered it. Hello. Yeah, we need the load moved. We'll pay it. Okay. I'll send the truck right now. You know? Is 26 a good rate? Sure, it's a good rate. But I wanted 28. And I wasn't going to move the truck unless I got it. So, there you go. Ace the Time Traveler. He's watching 3 minutes behind. So, this will be like deja vu. Hi, Ace. Now you're all caught up. Hit fast forward. Oh no, I forgot. We're done. We done ended the video. You're late. So, see, I got my free Dr. Pepper today. I went into the Pilot this morning, got my free Dr. Pepper. I did not get a free slice of pizza, though. There's only 3 days left. It's coming tomorrow, so if you want a free slice of pizza, you better get it. You only got 3 more days to get it. Super Chat Challenge the Wait, says Weird Racing. Thanks, Lenny. See, Weird Racing didn't know I remember his first name, but I remember everybody I talked to. Thanks, Lenny, for the $2 Super Chat. And I've talked to a lot of people in the last 2 years, helping them out at the Big Orange. And like I tell everybody, and I would probably still be at the Big Orange. See, the Big Orange done me a favor, right? The Big Orange done me a favor. Well, I'll tell you what, Lenny, I would, if anybody really wants to super chat to the channel, I'd rather have them go to my website at Like Trucking, LIKE-trucking.com, and just hit the donate button there. That way, YouTube don't take 40, 50, 80, whatever percent they take. Who knows what they take? That's a big percentage. I don't know what they take. I don't have none of that clue. I bet you Jay Canal would know. You do the challenge, I will. Are you a poker player? Hey, man, we play Zynga all the time, man. Right? Well, yeah, that's with the next load, right? That was load coming down. Now the load I'm taking tomorrow was like this. And Gear Grabber knows. He was there. He's listened. It's a short load. It picks up right over here where I'm delivering. And it's going to take me over on the other side of Florida. It's a 150-mile run. And the lady wanted to pay $500. I said, no, I need 7. Don't have 7. I said, I don't have a truck. So then, I wait, and this is all basically email. And I wait, and I send an email saying, I'll help you out. I can do it for $650. Bottom line. And come back at $550. I didn't respond. Then I get an email a little later. Big letters, capital letters. I'll do it for $600 all in. I didn't respond. Later on that evening, 3 or 4 hours later, I get an email that says, all right, $650. I sent you the carrier packet. Can you please fill it out? So I filled it out and sent it back. All right. If I get the rate con in the morning, I'll do the load. If I don't, I'll just find something else. And they sent me the rate con. So there you go. Because I knew I could haul anything for that kind of money. It didn't really matter. James Best, I got lucky last night. No one ever came out to get the money for the parking spot. I was at the TA in South Carolina. Ace sees that there. See, the only problem with that, though, Ace, is this, right? If I'm going to park in the paid parking, I pay. Here's the reason why. If you go to sleep and you didn't pay, and all the spots are full, and they come and do this, and then they say, hey, you didn't pay, you got to move. And then, especially if you're on ELD, you move your truck, but there's no spaces at the truck stop left. What do you do? Just think of that, Ace. Just think of that. What do you do? You're bumming. Because the guy that paid is going to get that spot. They're going to make you move. And he's going to take the spot, and now you're out there in the middle of the thing and nowhere to park. I don't know. It's just just an observation. They got $50 for me for food. Dude, man, what did you eat? Holy smokes, at a TA? Whew. I hope you had like a whole bottle of Rolaids for $50 eating that. Man, that's terrible. That's right, that is expensive, man. Richard the Viking. I could walk across the street. There's a Golden Corral right across the street. I could go over there and eat. But, I don't like buffets that much. Especially this time of year. Too much stuff going around. People don't wash their hands, all that good stuff. Personal convenience, says Gear Grabber. All right, so we're out of here. It was 91 minutes. Big Money Trucker says, Denny's for me. Denny's does have some good stuff going on right now. And I think it's that, it's one of the sluggers for breakfast. It's like 2 eggs, couple sausage, hash browns, a slice of French toast. You get a coffee and a large orange juice, and it's only like $7, $7.99 or something like that. That's a good deal. Yeah, Big Joe, I'm leaving this video up. Groundhog says my wife made biscuits and gravy with eggs. Now look at that, Groundhog, and you don't invite us over, man? What is wrong with you? Now, Rick Jones, it's not a grand slam. It's a slam. It's one of the slams. No, they call it a slugger. I think they call it a slugger. It's one of those type anyway. All right. Thanks, everybody, for the super chats. I'm going to get... Now, wait a minute. Before I get off here. Believe it do truckers buy Bitcoin? Let me tell you something, man. That Bitcoin is soaring, right? I remember... You can mine, you had miners, right? Anybody knows anything about Bitcoins, right? You set up these little miners and you're mining Bitcoin. Get yourself a half Bitcoin, maybe 1 Bitcoin and stuff like that, right? And Bitcoin back then, I mean, it was like 150, 200 bucks a coin. And it wasn't too long ago. Now, on Sunday, it was like $11,000 a coin. Ace, you're too late, Ace. You're too late for Bitcoin. Bitcoin was $11,000 a coin on Sunday. And it wasn't even a year ago. It was only $200 a coin. Right? Because we mined them. You know? If you set up enough miners in a room in the winter in Michigan, you could walk in a room and it'd be 80, 90 degrees because those little miners put up that much heat. Of course, your electric bill was through the roof, right? Your electric bill is way through the roof. Yep. Well, see, Richard the Viking, $2, yeah, if you invest. Now, they had places that would let you rent miners, right? They had these big warehouses, and they had all these miners in them. You could rent the mining time and all that, right? These miners and earn Bitcoin that way. And or you could buy the miners yourself. And if you got them out of China, they're really cheap. They didn't cost that much. You can get a nice, decent one for a few $100s. And you put a bunch of these in your house, and before you know it, you had 5, 6, 8, 10 Bitcoin. And if you kept the Bitcoin, right now, you'd be sitting really well. You'd be sitting really pretty, right? Because, you know, 10 Bitcoin now would get you 110 grand. Yes, that is a train. Matter of fact, I gotta turn my heater on. Look, I gotta turn my heater on. Let's get this down. Southern Georgia, it's like 40 degrees here. And I've been sitting here for hours, about 3 or 4 hours with the truck off. And I'm just in a t-shirt because, you know, it's warm for me, and I'm from Michigan. It's like 10 degrees up there. So low 40s, you know, that's t-shirt weather. But I'll turn the heat on for a little bit. There, we got her started up. Got the heat going. And the train's rocking down right past here. All right. Mo, I'm going to answer a question. Maybe off topic, but under your own authority, do you always have to have your own trailer? Thanks. No, you do not have to have a trailer at all if you don't want a trailer. You can use other people's trailers. You can do power only. Just like now, if I wanted to run to Targets, there's a company that has the Target, you know, contract, and they sent us out an email, and I sent it to Gary Grabber. You know, if we wanted to sit at home by the house and run out of Galesburg, Michigan, we could run a load a day to the stores and be back there every single night, and do that probably from now until through the Christmas season, right? You got contracts like that. And then you also, you know, like if I wanted to go and put my truck over and just do nothing but Menards, and if you don't know what Menards is, they're kind of like a Lowe's and Home Depot. You know, they're one of those types of box stores. I could put it on with them. You gotta have your own authority, but you use their trailers. The only thing that you have to provide is trailer insurance, right? To cover their trailers that you're pulling. And a lot of them will want you to have a $25,000, some want $35,000 trailer insurance, and so on. And if you're doing that for a reefer, they'll want around $75,000 for the insurance. And that's it. So you really don't have to have a trailer, because there's power onlys, right? You could have your truck on with Schneider as a third-party carrier, power only, just running their trailers, right? And then same thing with you know, JB Hunt's got it, and all these other ones, they all have it. So you can get by without one if you want to. All right, there you go. We're out of here. Thanks for watching. If you haven't hit the thumbs up and you want to, go ahead. Subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. If you want to do the Super Chat challenge, but you do my challenge, I'll send you $500 through your site. What's the challenge, Weird Racing? I'm trying to figure out what you want here. Let me go back. Yeah, he's talking about the GPUs are hard to get the good ones. Dylan's right. It is internet currency. I'm trying to figure out what the Super Chat challenge is. I got to go way back here, man. Oh, Weird Racing got me checking back here. Check out your Sunday video for a comment from me. $500 Super Chat challenge. Man, I got to go back and check out a Sunday video. All right, I'll have to go back, Weird Racing. I'm going to have to go back and check it out. All right. We'll see y'all later. And Sharon, if you're still on here, send me that email. And if I can help you out, you know, signing someone on and with the business part of it, you know, I'll be glad to do that for you. We'll see y'all later. Other Trucker James Best stopping here. John Spano, appreciate it. Nailed it, everybody. Boogeyman, Gary Grabber, Anthony, Jeff, Ace, Mo Miles, Groundhog, Richard the Viking, and so forth. Stephen Miller. Thanks everybody for stopping by. If I didn't say your name, you know I thank you for stopping by and watching the videos. And we'll have to do a regular whiteboard session on some good stuff in the upcoming videos. I thought about buying some stuff and going live with live phones. I might do that. I still might do that. I might make, I might do a Godfather show or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Just kidding. We'll see you.